Good morning, everyone. We made it. It is Friday. Yay. Thank you so much to all of you who are actually here today. I know it's crazy. It's been fast. It's been furious. And we just want to start out by thanking you very, very, very much for hanging with us through all of the crazy that we have going on. We want to remind you of several things on the side. Please take a moment to introduce yourself. Let us know who you are, what school and district you're from, grade, subject, position, that type of information so that we can match you with the attendance sheets. We're doing the best we can to keep up with that as well. Today's is Google Classroom Advanced. So if you do use third-party applications through Google Classroom, or you have used extensions or anything of that nature that you'd like to comment about in the chat window, please do so. You can ask any questions, and we will do the best we can to answer everybody's questions. And in fact, we will stay on later than the time. For those of you who need to leave, that'll be great. But if we haven't answered all the questions, we'll try to get those done before we sign off. We will ask you to tag anybody you need to comment to. So if you see a question that we don't see and you know the answer, by all means, please start typing with the @ symbol and put their name. It should pop up for you. A color will light up on the screen in the chat to alert them that someone is speaking to them as well. Also, you can tag us at any time. This session is being recorded. The exact same link that you see right up above you. That link is the one that's going to lead you back to this session after the recording finishes. And in the description at the very bottom, you'll have to click probably the words show more, but we're going to put the link to the actual presentation there in case I forget, like I did on Wednesday, to drop it into the comment section. With that being said, we have a lot to cover today. So anything else we're going to get started on? Our agenda for today, we're going to go over some productivity extensions, classroom extensions, instruction apps you can use, collaboration apps, assessment tools, talk about the Classroom mobile app, talk about app scripts, which I know very few people have utilized in any shape, form, or fashion. And then, of course, we have the guides and resources. And just to throw you guys for a loop today, Hillary's going to kick us off. Go ahead, Hillary.
Sorry, just one second. Okay, so on the productivity extensions, we are going to take a look at Bitmoji, WakeLit, Dualist, and Extensity. So all of these extensions, you can download these by visiting the Chrome Web Store, and there's the address to that. And we're going to start off, since it's Friday, with the fun one. Y'all loved the Bitmoji Classroom, Google Classroom headers. So if you're wondering how to get started with that, you can download the Bitmoji extension. You start at bitmoji.com, though, to build your avatar. So once you go to that website and make an account and build your avatar, then you're able to use that. The cool thing about Bitmoji is that all your extensions are like plugins at the top. So it's kind of like an extension cord. You're plugging it in to make it more useful. Okay, so up at the top, they live next to your account login. So this is the icon for the Bitmoji. When I click on it, then it's going to drop down and give me all my Bitmojis that I can search through. The other cool feature about Bitmoji is that once you do that, it also can be found in your Gmail. So when you're composing a new mail to somebody, then next to the send, you'll see the icon right here, the face, and you can click on that and you can copy and paste in Bitmojis into the emails. So that's pretty nifty. The next one we're going to look at is WakeLit. And WakeLit has the ability to save, organize, and share content from across the web. I really like this one. I've gotten to where I'm using it a lot more lately. You can save all kinds of resources from the web, but you can send that to your students. So if you have several sites that you use for research that you might want to share with your kids, all you have to do is click the share inside of WakeLit, and you can click that Google Classroom button and it will ask you which ones you want to send it to. The other thing about WakeLit that's kind of neat as well is one of the things I've gotten to use it for is this video shows you about using it with your phone. So you can download the WakeLit app, and several times you might see things on either Twitter or Facebook that you might want to save ideas for the classroom. This video walks you through how to do that. So if you're interested in looking at that. And down in the resources, I have a Wakelet that I created for Google Classroom resources that the link will be on one of the last slides. Dualist is an extension that it really helps without the dual monitor. So up here, if I click on the Dualist extension icon, I have the ability to choose how I want my screens set up. So I can go if I want split screens, I can do the 50-50. And then it's going to split my screens in half with my tabs. Now, see my Google Classroom. You have the ability to do it horizontal, or you can do it vertical, whichever way you would like. So that one's kind of nifty if you need the dual monitors. I know I can't live without mine. Another extension that we use a lot is Extensity, and it allows you to quickly enable and disable Chrome extensions. So this is the icon, what it looks like at the top. And when I click on it, it's going to bring and list all the extensions that I have loaded. Now, sometimes if your computer or the student's computer is acting quirky and you really don't have an explanation, the first thing we try and tell people is maybe go and try and turn all the extensions off, because it could be something that's interfering. So Extensity allows you to do that with one click. So right up here at top, if I toggle this off, then all my extensions go off. If I toggle it back on, then they come back on. So, and I can go and choose each one individually to go turn off. So if I don't want to use this one, I can click on it and now notice that it's grayed out, and I will no longer be able to use that one until I re-enable it. And now moving on to classroom extensions, we're going to look at sharing to the classroom off of any site, a way to get that to the kids in Google Classroom. Kami, annotating PDFs, Classwork Zoom, which is a Google Classroom time tracker, not to be confused with the actual Zoom video conference platform. Mote, it allows you to do voice commenting in Google Docs, slides, and sheets. Insert Learning lets you take a website and insert any kind of information you would like to share with your students. And then the Google Meet Nod extension. So looking at Share to Classroom, Share to Classroom, it gives me the ability to, if I have, I'll go ahead and show you. So I have this website that I want to share with my students. If I go to the Share to Classroom icon at the top, then it's going to list all my classes in my Google Classroom, and I can choose which one I would like to send it to. So I have the ability to push it to students. So this is that fast and quick way to get your kids to a website without waiting for them to type in the information or go to Google and look it up. So if I click push to students, then it's going to send that to my class. I have the option to also create it as an assignment, ask it as a question, or make it an announcement. So that is really helpful. The next one is the Kami extension, and this has been used during remote learning for PDF and document annotation. It's using it as a digital pen and paper to annotate on PDFs. It does integrate with Google Classroom, and we have 2 resources that will be listed later for you to look at. This links to a remote learning for students. It's like a one-page guide for them with Google Classroom that you can click on that and go make your own copy. But when I use the Kami extension inside my Google Classroom, so let's say I'm going to make an assignment. When I go to create, I have the option to make a Kami assignment. So I can upload a document that I want the students to write on and annotate on and share that out to them just by having it appear here. The next one is the Classwork Zoom for Google Classroom. So it looks like mine closed out. On the Google Classroom, the classwork, it is a revision history for a whole class. So if you've looked at revision history inside a Google Doc or a Google Slide to see how much, how often the kids were on it, or if they copied and pasted, this will catch that. And so right here, this is a screenshot from one of my classes. It takes a while to load the report, so that's why I'm not demoing that right now. But it also will show you, so this is one or several assignments from one student, and I can see how long they worked on it. So little less than 8 minutes here, and there's a video that can walk you through setting it up. The next one is Mote. It's voice commenting for Google Docs. It has 20 languages that it can transcribe in. So I'm going to show you in my Google Docs. This is just one that I made last night, and we learned about making comments earlier. So if I highlight this voice comment and I want to leave one, when I do the Mote extension, I have the ability to record it. So once, this is what you'll see here, like if I made another one and did comment, and I guess I'm not logged into it right now, but this is when I left last night. Okay, so it says here's my voice comment using Mote. And you have the ability to go and edit those. And so you could see that it transcribed it to BOAT, B-O-A-T. So I could go in there to edit and fix any of my Southern drawl. Okay, so you have the ability, since you can't see this, once you make the comment, this is what it will look like. You'll have an extension right here, and you have 90 seconds max to record. And this is what my comment looks like. I can play it. This is where I can edit it. And then the drop-down menu, once I go up here to the Mote extension, I can go, and this is where the languages are at, all 20 of the different languages. Insert learning. You can transform any web page into an interactive lesson by inserting questions, videos, and more. So I'm going to pull up one of the ones that I had assigned. So we always did animal research projects, and I wanted the, let me sign in real quick. That's what happened when I closed out all my extensions earlier and turned them off. So once you start logging into your extensions, then you got to link your Google account. So here we go. Insert learning. I have the ability to choose my students. So I had assigned this to Christy, and I can see her responses. So I was able on this web page to go and I can highlight text, I can insert a sticky note, I can insert a question or a discussion, and then there's more options here. So I inserted this information, you know, you've been assigned the giant panda, look out here, and then I've inserted a question after they read this paragraph. And then I can click here to view all responses, and I see that Kim and my other account haven't answered, but Christy did, and she got it correct 12 hours a day. So to assign it, you would click this icon, and I can choose which class that I want and share to Google Classroom, and it will go. Notice down at the bottom, though, of this slide, it says students need to be enrolled in the class and have this extension to view the lesson. So just an FYI. The next one is nod reactions for Google Meet. So this is the student view. Up at the top, they'll have the little menu where they can raise their hand. This is like all the things that you've seen in Zoom. They have the emoji icons that they can answer with. On the teacher side, you can turn on those notifications so that they'll pop up in your Meet to see that the hand has been raised. Okay, so you can follow that. Moving on to instructional apps, Discovery Ed, EdPuzzle, and Pear Deck. So Discovery Ed, we have a lot of school districts that are participating in it. And some of you are participating in it and don't realize it. It's a wealth of information and ability to make lessons that you can share with your students. So I'm going to show you on Discovery Ed. So I'm logged in, and let's say I want to find a video on Statue of Liberty. And I want to share not just the Statue of Liberty, but all symbols of the United States of America. So I'm going to click on this one. Then I have the share icon over here, and I want my students to watch this video. So then all I have to do is anytime you see this icon, that means you can share it to your classroom. And now I'm going to choose which class I would like to share this to. I want to make it an assignment and go. Then this is the box that you're used to seeing with Google Classroom. And I can assign it to certain students. If students need remediation, I'd be able to choose that. Right here on the students, I can say, okay, Kim doesn't need this. Christy does, and then I click assign. And so now it's posted to my class. So there is on June 23rd, Tuesday, there are sessions here that you can register for Discovery Education. And if you have any questions about that, Christy can help. The morning session is for administrators only. And then the afternoon session is for teachers. And Christy Vincent from Discovery Education will be going over how to use it with your students and assign content and all things Discovery. EdPuzzle's the next one. So in EdPuzzle, you can find videos. There's several popular channels, Khan Academy, National Geographic. The crash course videos are great. So when I find one that I would like to assign, it's YouTube videos that you can ask questions. So you can put little tags so you can see that these are 3 multiple choice questions that I want to ask, but I'm ready to assign it to my students. So I click assign. I choose my Google Classroom class. There's the classroom icon, and then I click assign. There's the due date. I can tell it if I want them to prevent skipping. That's turned on so they can't skip. And if I want to turn closed captioning on, I can. If I want to post it to Google Classroom, like make it where it shows, I can, and assign. So this is what it would look like on, so it's attached as an assignment, and I've got one turned in. Pear Deck in Google Classroom. On Pear Deck, when you're using it, you want to make sure and go up to your account at the top, and you want to go to My Account, then Settings, and you want to make sure that you have the Google Classroom part turned on. And then you want to also check the Enable Student Push Notifications. So when I have my Pear Deck add-on running in my Google Slide and I want to start the lesson, I can choose if I want it student paced or instructor paced, and for this one I want student paced. And right here I can share to Classroom. And I can choose which classroom I want and assign it. Same way. Okay, so you can invite your students to the classroom by the classroom roster, and there's other resources down there about Pear Deck and Google Classroom. Then you also, if you get to this screen of where they would join the PD, they can click the invite class and get to it that way. So now collaboration apps. Jamboard, Flipgrid, and WeVideo. Jamboard is a new one that we've been playing with, and it's like a collaborative whiteboard space. So you can make a jam and assign it to groups. So we're going to look at that in my classroom. I have a draft down here of an assignment that I started. This is what the Jamboard looks like. So it's a blank whiteboard. They can draw on it. They can insert sticky notes. So it's like sticky note collaboration, almost like the old Padlet moment. They can add images. And so I want to assign this just to group number 2. So group number 2, complete this jam together, make sure everyone contributes. I went to add, and it's just like attaching a slide or a doc. I go to Google Drive and I locate my Jamboard. I want to make sure on this one, because I want to do it as a group work, that on the drop down, I want to leave it as students can edit. Then on the students, I'm going to choose from the list which ones that I want to put in groups together and assign it to. So they'll be able to work on this collaborative whiteboard together and then assign it. And there's a video walking you through the different ways to use Jamboard for collaborative group work. Flipgrid is another one of my favorites. So when I pull up my Flipgrid and I've made my topic, my discussion topic that I want them to leave responses for. So this one, for example, is, what is your favorite thing about Google Classroom? So once I have that, I can click the share button, and then I'll get the share to Google Classroom icon and can send it to my students. Same little menu that you keep seeing over and over, choose your class. And WeVideo. So WeVideo is a tool for editing videos, and once you have your video, the students have the video made, they can share it to the class. Once the video is finished and published, there will be an icon under the export. So there's the icon, then they're going to share to whichever classroom, and they can attach it to the assignment. So right here, they've got, they're choosing which class they're enrolled in, and they're choosing which assignments they need to attach that video to. On the teacher side of it, If you're doing an instructional video for remote learning or needing to share a math lesson maybe, then you can click the Share to Classroom and assign it the same way that you have been with the other apps. So in WeVideo, if I go here to my exports and I want to assign this particular video, then there's the Share to Google Classroom icon. So that's after my video has been edited and finalized. And Christy, do we have any questions?
Yes, Hillary, we had a few questions. And so before I start, let's bring our screens back to this section. And I'm going to try to get them mostly for you. I think the first comment we had was this from Jennifer. She wanted to know more about Kami and how it works with Google Classroom. I hope that Hillary got that answered for you. If you have specific questions, you could go ahead and ask them here. We know this is just a quick glance at here's a possibility. Jan wants to know, do these extensions cost money or are they free?
Good question. I will go back and clarify that on the presentation. Kami is the only one that, I take that back. Okay, so Kami is a freemium one that has a free version and a paid version. The Classwork Zoom one for that report, I think it's like $2.99 a month. It's got a free 30-day window, and then it's $2.99 a month after that, and it is not a recurring cost. But for the most part, all the other ones that we used were free.
Okay, here's another question from Melissa. Is insert learning similar to EdPuzzle?
Sort of. Insert learning is when you're using a website. So EdPuzzle, you're actually working with a video and inserting questions. So insert learning would be using a website that you want them to highlight different things to look at.
Is it correct that students will need the extensions installed on their own Google accounts?
Lillian, I'm not sure which one you're referring to.
But most of them probably you'll have better interaction and play if they have it as well. And then she followed it up with this one. Is there a way that the district tech department could push out the extension to the students, or will they need to add it themselves?
They can be pushed out to the students.
Here's a funny for you. Hillary, you set off the Google Hub at Opie's house.
Well, good. Awesome. Hey,
Darcy,
Google.
Darcy wanted to know about the links for this presentation. And first of all, Darcy, PPT is PowerPoint, and that is a curse word in our Google world. We use only Google. That's what all 42 of our districts have access to. 100%. It's free of charge. So we're using Google Slides. And yes, the link will be in the description down below the YouTube video as soon as we're finished today. And let's see, what else do we have? Is there a list of Region 14 approved apps that can interface with Google Classroom? That's all up to the districts. Region 14 couldn't care less what you need to utilize. That's between you and your administration and your district policies. So if there's questions, if there are things you want to know about, if you need something to connect or have a question of what will work in my district, please reach out to both Hillary or me. We are open to any of those suggestions. All right. That being said,
Take it away.
I'm going to hide that comment and I'm going to jump in with assessment tools. So one of the things that we got questions on over the past couple of days was a couple of things inside of Google Classroom. How to use the question feature, how to use the Google Forms feature inside of a classroom. And then I wanted to highlight quizzes, which is a lot like Kahoot. So I'm going to start out talking to you a little bit about the Google Classroom question feature. And this is kind of a crazy screen. So let's just jump over and look at it first. I'm going to go over here to my classes. I'm going to enter this fake class I'd created for our purposes. Clicking on my Classwork tab, and you'll notice your icons. Under Create, the one with a question mark is simply the question. I actually created one yesterday, an exit ticket moment. What is your favorite color? And my students, if they view the question, have the ability to choose their favorite color and leave a comment. As the teacher, I see all of their responses and I can expand the responses and see exactly which students made this response. Now, here's what you need to know. Blue is my favorite color, so I decided anybody who gave me blue got all 25 out of 25 points on this category that I'd set up earlier this week. I went ahead and gave Laura, Vince, and Suzanne, they used green. Well, you know, yellow and blue make green, so they get half points. And then I might as well go ahead and give Amber half credit too, because blue and red make purple. So I'm going to go ahead and give her 13 points. So I can grade this for them as students. Now to create it, if I go back to my classroom, all I have to do, create question, type, what is your favorite number? Or anything you might want to utilize for an exit ticket moment, a quick question moment, a pulse check. It defaults to the short answer, so you can definitely let them type a short answer for you. My favorite is multiple choice, and favorite numbers are 1, 2, 3, and 7. So in this particular moment, most people are probably going to guess my favorite number is 7, but really mine's 3, so that's going to be my right answer. You can still add attachments or something for them to go look at and review before they answer this. I can give it a category. I can give it a due date. I can make it a topic, whatever I need to do. But here's the moment where I can let the student see the class summary or not. They will not see the summary until they actually answer their question. Once they answer the question, if this is checked, then they can see how many different people selected the same things they selected, but they do not see who said what. And then I just ask the question or I save it as a draft or whatever. And it becomes part of my assignment. What I have in your screenshots here is just a reminder that you're inside creating an assignment of the Classwork tab. When you see question, you have the option to do short answer or multiple choice. If this box is checked, then the students will be able to see this information, but they cannot expand. But they do see it after they've answered. They don't see the summary until they've answered. Okay. The teacher view, once again, you will be able to see who answered what, and you can still grade this if you want. It could be ungraded. All right, moving on. Let's talk about the quiz assignment. All right. Inside of my class here, you see the icons. They kind of look the same. For a quiz assignment, the icon looks the same as the regular assignment. Let me go ahead and show you my assessment that I gave them here before I show you how to do it. I gave them one called the best quiz ever. I can view the assignment and I can see who turned it in. You'll notice I have the ability to import grades here, but the reason I have that ability is because when I created this as a quiz assignment, it popped up. I can go and tell you that all of these grades here, look at this. This is how horrible my class did. I've got some reteaching to do. I've got 0s and 5s out of 15 possible points. I have not graded Angie's yet because she hasn't turned it in to me. I can see these are turned in. But this auto-graded because of how I had it set up. So most of you may be saying, well, how do I do that moment? So I'm going to go back to the classroom and I'm going to create a quiz assignment. Notice it auto-generates for me a blank quiz. This is my test. Let's see. Yeah, this is my test. I can give them instructions telling them what to do. I usually don't add anything else because this moment is a quiz test moment for me. Notice that grade importing, I have that slid on before I've ever made the assignment, and that's what will allow me to get those grades imported. There is a feature over here that says locked mode on Chromebooks. If I hit my cursor over the little tiny eye, I know it's hard for you guys to read, but I'm going to read it to you. It says respondents will not be able to open tabs or other applications while taking this quiz. All right. What that's telling me is if I turn on this switch First of all, my students have to be using a Chromebook. You can't do it on a PC, can't do it on a Mac, cannot do it on an iPad, cannot do it on their phone. You have to assign this when they know they're going to have the COVID or the, I'm sorry, I'm reading Melissa's during COVID. This was my headache. Sorry, I read that question. They have to have the Chromebook in front of them. Okay, so you can turn this on or not turn this on depending on what devices your students use. You can go ahead and set all of your categories as always. You could add a rubric, but I don't need to because it's going to grade inside this form. Now, what you need to do is while it's in this mode, you open the quiz. Notice it was called blank quiz. That's the default. I'm going to go ahead and rename my quiz. And I'm going to, when I type it here, I don't want it to stay titled that. So I'm going to click up here and I'm going to have to do this one as well. That is my pet peeve because then I get things lost if I don't be sure these things match for me. And you add your questions. Now, because I said this was a quiz from the beginning, and I'm going to go ahead and type the same one. What is your favorite number? Now, it's going to try to be helpful to me. It automatically said, well, do you want them to type a short answer? But no, I'm going to go back to multiple choice for the sake of this moment we're doing here. Do I want to add all? Yes, let's add just a bunch of numbers. That should be one. All right. Notice it asked me about my answer key. I said this was a quiz, so I need to go in and click my answer key. How many points is this particular question worth? Well, it's going to be worth 5 points. And I've got to determine, because this is my answer key, if I have this option, it's the answer key, which is the correct answer. 3 is going to be the correct answer. And then I can give answer feedback. Incorrect. Please don't ever say this. Correct answer feedback. And you don't have to give feedback. That's just me. What I really like is that for either side of the feedback on every single question, I could add an attachment, giving them notes or further feedback to go study, because this is just a quiz. Maybe before the unit test, they need to know that. I can also give them a YouTube video, letting them see me solve that math problem all over again. Okay, I'm going to save my feedback. I can always edit. And I'm going to say done. This is my one quiz question. Just so you can see some things, the responses should look the same for you. Under the settings, restrict users in region 14 to its trusted organizations. I'm going to go back to my tab to show you this moment again. When I had grade importing open, Classroom can import grades for assignments. Grade importing automatically limits each form to 1 response per user, collects email addresses, and restricts responses to users in your domain. So this, I can't change this moment if I want to import the grades into Classroom. Okay, I can't change it. So I didn't make any other adjustments. I could change the confirmation message if I wanted to say, thanks for taking the quiz. I can go ahead and uncheck that if I wanted to, but all of this is defaulted for me because it knew I was using the template that was created for me when I made the assignment. Okay, so I'm just going to cancel out of anything here. My question is good to go. I'm going to X out of it here. Notice this didn't change at the moment. Don't worry about it. Just hit assign. Now, when they start completing this, notice it changed the title here for me on this one. It will eventually, there you go, it changed it here. Nobody has turned it in, but when I go to view my assignment, as they start submitting, I will have the option to import grades, and I can import grades more than once if not everybody has taken it at the same time. And because I gave it a score or a grade, it'll either give them a 0 or a 5. They'll either get the 3 or they won't. And it'll start populating the grades for me when the quiz comes in. And notice it defaulted to 25 here, but it's going to change it to 5 because of my quiz. All right, so let's go back over here. For Google Forms, you hit the quiz assignment option. Remember what grade importing means, and remember what locked mode would mean for you. On this screen, the quiz title will be blank quiz. Edit it. Edit this one that's already attached when you created it. You'll be able to release the scores inside the form for the students once they take it, and inside a classroom, you can import the grades. And by the way, let me see if it's this. I have hyperlinked Google Forms to Google information for you. And on Google Question, if you click this button, it will also give you more information on how to use this. Quizzes. Most of you are familiar with Kahoot. If you're not familiar with quizzes, it's one of my favorites. You simply go to quizzes.com. You will sign up for this as a teacher with using your Google account, and then you'll come in. You can find pre-made quizzes and edit them, or you can start from scratch. It's one of my favorite ways to assess because unlike Kahoot, where the students have to look down to read the question and look up to the screen to answer or vice versa, everything is inside what the students can see. So how well you know Google Chrome is the quiz I'm going to open up and utilize as a teacher. I can play it live, and when I play it live, I can still select to assign it to a class to play it live together with me by clicking my Google Classroom classes. Or, let me go back to it, I can assign it as homework that they have to do at some point. Assigning it homework, I will have to put a date and time I want it to be assigned. Assigned to a class. I select my class from Google Classroom. In this case, I am going to assign it to this one I've been using. This is my quiz for you. You can schedule it, give it a description, and say go. When I go back to my classroom, you'll see it will populate it right up here at the top, quiz for Chrome. The students will get an option to go mobile or go web. Whichever one they're on, it will adjust for their screen, so it's better for them to be able to do it. It will automatically bring in their grades for me. It graded it for me based upon how I set it up in quizzes. Another great fun way to be able to assess your students. What I have here is to show you can make it homework or live. Be sure you select teacher when you first sign in because the business side is not free. The teacher side is free. If it thinks you're a business, it'll start charging you. Be able to share it. The student view versus the teacher inside of quizzes will have a dashboard to watch everything, but it will populate the grade into your classroom. Now we're going to talk about the Classroom mobile app. A lot of stuff to the mobile app. So with the Classroom mobile app, I have a screencast that I made on my iPhone yesterday that's silent. So if you watch this later, remember it's silent, but I'm going to talk you through this moment on the YouTube. I'm going to talk to you about the teacher view and the student view. So here we go. Let's see how much this shows up for you. I'm trying to play YouTube inside of YouTube. I have a backup plan if it doesn't work. So the Google Classroom app is on my phone. I open it and see the cards like I'm used to seeing. Under the pancakes, you have all your classes. It looks very similar to the web. When you click on a class, your tabs are at the bottom. And Classwork will let me go into and see an assignment. I can scroll through. The upper right-hand corner are chocolate chips, but notice at the bottom I can edit or delete the assignment. For my students, I can click on their name and open their assignment. Here's the weird part. I can see the rubric. I cannot grade with the rubric, but I can edit the grade. Inside of the Classroom tab, and I'm going to pause this because I'm going too fast. Back up just a second. I want you to see this. Right here. In the Classwork tab, that's funny. What you see in the upper right-hand corner is a student selector. You do not have this on the web at all. The student selector will let me randomize. So if I'm walking around the classroom with my cell phone as the teacher, I can randomly select students based upon my roster. So that's what you're going to see here. When I click that button, do I want to call Laura later, mark somebody absent, or click to the next student, and it will tell me who's been picked, not picked, and who's absent. When I get to the moment of picking every single student, I will also have the option to reset and start again. Love that feature inside the app. You can still click a student's name and see their grade, and you can mute them from your phone. You can filter for what work they have available through that People tab as well. As a student, scroll down to the bottom in my case, and what I'm enrolled in, what does the student see? The student still sees their assignments for their teacher. They see the stream, the Classwork tab. They can open that particular assignment, and notice at the bottom, they're going to have to scroll up from the bottom to access any attachments that are included. So in this particular case, I opened my assignment, and she says, draw a flower is attached. I'm going to pause right here. Students will also need Drive, Docs, Slides, and Sheets apps downloaded on their phone. All of them are tied to the exact same student account. This is something, if you're using younger kids on a phone, you'll need to talk to the parents about. And yes, if a parent has more than one student in school that needs this moment, they can switch between accounts, but you need to know which account they're in at the time. Because she assigned me a Google Doc and I opened it, it's launching in Google Docs. That's why you want the app on the phone as well. What you will see when this app comes up that I don't demonstrate is that, yes, I can put my finger inside the document and start typing, just like you would on any other document. But I'm going to skip that step next, and you'll see what's happening. In the upper right corner, there's a pen. When I open it on a phone, it gives me the ability to annotate. I'm trying to draw a flower, and Christy here realized I don't want a brown stem, but just look at all the colors and options your kids have and sizes, etc. I'm going to choose the eraser, erase my brown stem, and I'm going to go ahead and click over choosing a green to make a stem. Please don't judge my drawing abilities. Art is not my forte. But if I were a math teacher, this moment is happening for me really easily on a phone when it comes to equations and things like that. In this case, Christy's drawing her flower, and at the end, she's going to press save in the upper right-hand corner, and you will notice it is saving it as a PDF version of my document. Okay, the document is now saved, so I'm not doing anything on this particular document. I'm going to close out of it, hitting my little X, and you'll see the attachment is below. I'm going to stop again for a second. This attachment here at the top was the original one. Because I drew on it, it gave a PDF copy, but attached it to my assignment for my teacher. And I have the ability to add attachments. So back to the at-home moment. If your kids can't come to you and your parents don't know what to do about Google Classroom, if they have a phone with the apps logged in for those students, even if the student has to hand write something on a piece of paper to turn into you, the parent can take a picture with their phone. They can either use the camera right now or pick a photo on their camera roll to turn it in, and that assignment is still where you need it to be digitally to grade as a teacher. So in this case, I'm going to pick from my phone a flower. Here's my lovely daisy. It's way better than the one I drew. But you wanted to encourage your kids to wait to watch it attach. At this point now, Christy should have 3 total attachments. Be sure everything's visible before you hit the turn in button. It'll ask you, are you sure? You hit turn in as a student, and it tells me at the bottom that has been submitted. I could unsubmit. As the teacher, I now have everything I need from that student. Once again, don't be afraid to scroll through all this stuff and click around. And that's my quick screenshot video. With that moment in mind, for the teacher side, here's what you should have seen really, really fast and furiously. I have the app on my screen, saved on my phone. You'll notice I have Docs, I have Drive. If you scroll through my little folder here, I also have Slides and I have Sheets. The pancakes are still there for you to see things. You as a teacher have the in-class settings, the little gear up here at the top. I put my my arrow over that, but you can actually assign or change up your information. You will get a class code, all that good stuff in the mobile version. You also have the ability to open up an assignment and see your student work. You can add the grade here, but reminder, I could see all the rubric stuff, but I could not click on it to actually grade it in the same capacity. I can put the grade here. So if I had to grade at a ball game or riding the school bus back with my cheerleaders like I used to do at Cooper, I could actually grade. I can also see the student overall grade information and all of their assignments using the filter button. If I'm walking around the classroom, I can mute them. I loved the ability to do a student selector, which I cannot do on any other platform but the mobile app, where I can rotate through and call on my students in class with me. On the student side, they also have the app. They click into their class and they have their tabs at the bottom, Stream, Classwork, and People. If you click on the Classwork tab and open up an assignment, they may see it down here at the bottom and they have to swipe up for any of the attachments to go with it. And that's something you would want to go through and show them ahead of time the first time they're using it through the app. Also on the student side, I love the ability to add the attachment where they can pick a photo or use camera. Both of these options make that at-home moment accessible to your students. For the most part, they will all have at least a phone available to them to use, even if it's grandma's. And they can pick a photo or use the camera to take a picture of things that a project they made for you, something they put together, or handwritten assignments on a worksheet and still upload it into the platform. Be sure that all files are attached before submit, and that's one of the things you would want to train your students on. Now, something that many of you probably have never even heard of. It's a little complicated. AppScript. Many of you know David Watkins, who works here at the Service Center. Years ago, he worked with me. He was a science teacher. He was a coach. Math teacher. He was a coach. He worked at Clyde a long time. Great guy, but his complete job is writing apps script for our districts. Some of you may be in smaller districts that use things like Help Track and time clock and TransTrack and different things for transportation. Sub requests, all of those things. David writes the functionality behind making Google do anything. And this is one of the most powerful features that Google has, is that it's free and open to people to write different scripts to make the applications perform at a greater level. So in this case, I chose 3 scripts that are actually pretty old, so they look a little old to get going, but to show you some things that will help you in functionality. Google Classroom Delete Calendars, discussion board, and create group documents. So let's walk through this moment. We'll start with the Google Classroom Delete Calendars. Here's a section of my calendars. Many of you may use your calendars a lot, but if you look over here, there's a lot of calendars that it keeps populating, and there's way too many things I don't want. So right here, I have Roscoe ISD Teacher Playground and Admin Playground. You know what? Both of those are over and done, and I don't need their calendars anymore. So I'm going to go over here and show you that this particular button is linked to the step-by-step directions to be able to delete your calendars en masse. What you're really doing is you're opening up a spreadsheet that somebody else created for you. It's Alice Keeler. She's one of my favorites. And when I open the copy of her Delete Classroom spreadsheet, I automatically see a tab that I've never seen before, Delete Classroom Calendars. Her steps will walk you through clicking here and saying, well, list all of my calendars tied to the Christy Kate account. And it fills in all this craziness that I don't know anything about, other than, yes, those are calendars that I don't want anymore. And in her directions that you'll be able to see, she says to type the word delete, and you can see I've already done it a couple of times. Next to calendars I want to get rid of. And I told you guys I wanted to get rid of this Roscoe Playground admin. So I'm going to type here the word delete. Have to spell it right. And there was another Roscoe one that should have populated in here somewhere. Here it is, Roscoe ISD Teacher Playground 1. I'm going to click here and I'm going to type the word delete. Once I do that, all I have to do now is go back to the Delete Classroom button and say, well, delete those calendars. And it starts running the script. She says, did you type delete spelled that way, lowercase, in column C for the calendars? Yes, I did. It's running the script. And now it's telling me that this one's deleted, and now this one's deleted. I can do this at any time I want. So let's go back to my calendar tab. I'm going to refresh my screen of my calendars. It's loading. And when I scroll through this list, we don't see Roscoe anywhere anymore. So what I advise you to do once you have archived your classes that you don't need from last year is to get this and run this script to delete those calendars and clean up your calendar moments. That's a huge plus for me. Looking back at the presentation, once again, this particular button will link you to the step-by-step directions. Once you download this spreadsheet from here, you'll list the calendars, you'll type in the word delete, you'll hit delete calendars, it'll prompt you, and you should see deleted. Notice there were some on mine too that said unable to delete because I had subscribed to somebody else's calendar. I did not own them. I could not delete those calendars. One of my favorites. People's calendar gets all crazy. Discussion board is another one. This, once again, will take you to how to download a spreadsheet. So let's go over here to discussion board. A lot of teachers have asked about having a discussion that's not on this classroom stream, where teachers can or your students can respond to each other's questions, but you don't want to have to scroll for days to get that information. So Alice has a spreadsheet. When you download it, it's actually going to populate to a tab that I've hidden as the teacher, so the students shouldn't see this, but a template. And when you get this template, you're going to be able to click on the word add-ons, go to discussion board, and open the menu. It's going to populate there for you. And this discussion board menu is going to give you view directions for teacher and student. I would walk the students through this the first time. You as the teacher will walk you through the first time. At any given time, I can hit create a new discussion. It will add a tab so I can have one spreadsheet to have running discussions all year long. In this case, I actually created one yesterday called favorite color. Okay. Once I created this spreadsheet called favorite color, I clicked here to respond and put my name, response to question blue, of course. I used my other person to say, hey, Christy, blue is my favorite color too. It will automatically put the student's name here and your name. Here's the clicker. Kids don't read directions, even my adult kids. I had to walk them through some of this moment. Notice it says click on the row you want to respond to, then click the response button. So I want to respond to Angie Thomas's turquoise. I can click on the row I want to respond to. This is a row here. I want to respond to this row. Okay. New comments go to column C. Responding to the previous person places it in column C. So I'm going to say click here to respond. When I click here to respond, it automatically puts my name here under Angie's that I can say interesting. Now here's the cool part. Whoops. I meant to say interesting. Interesting choice. I can respond to anybody in this list. I can also add a new question by clicking where I need to add it. If he's the last person, click here to respond. And it's going to add me to respond to him as well. That being said, all of this information, the kids cannot edit anything but where they typed. They can't click and edit my stuff. Hillary can't click and edit Vince's, only where it populated her email address for her. So I created another one called favorite number, which I haven't sent to my kids yet. I can put my name here. As the teacher, I have access. I can respond to the question. I'm going to say 3. And I'm done. How do you get that in Google Classroom? As the discussion board. So what you're going to do is you're going to go over here, and I'm going to show you that you start your discussion board. That's where I type my question. It populates. This is all the explanation. Assigning it to Google Classroom. When you create the assignment, you're going to add this sheet from your drive as students can edit the file. And that's it. When they open it, after you've practiced this in class, they'll be able to add to each other's and respond. And then you keep a running tab section. Once again, let's say I've already finished with this one. I want to create a new discussion. I guess I'm on this one, sorry. Create a new one. And this is where I can edit my question and say, what is your favorite animal? And continue from there. I would click add response and go on. So that's kind of a fun way to keep up with something because of an app script. Responding to question or comment for the students, but they cannot delete or edit others' responses on the discussion. They try to do it, it'll say there's a problem. That is not your email on that line. Won't let them do it. Group documents. I've also had this question before. How on earth can I assign a copy to every student of something but have them working together as a group? Otherwise, I'm only assigning a copy to one student, having other kids in, etc. So giving group assignments is also a pretty easy one. This group document here will link to you to download her spreadsheet. When I download the spreadsheet, and it looks like this initially, it's blank. And it says use the add-on menu to choose Group Maker. So I'm going to go to the add-ons, Group Docs Maker, and I'm going to show my sidebar here. It's going to run for a second. It's going to bring up my sidebar. Hopefully. Hillary and I both were slow this morning. We thought, what if we can't get through all of this? While it's waiting to bring it up, this was blank for me, and it told me to put their last name and first name. Yeah. Start by putting your roster of students here. So I put my last names, my first names, the student email addresses, and the number of groups I wanted to divide them into. Then I clicked Make Groups. Once I did that, it opened up this sheet for me and said, okay, because I let it randomize. It tells you what to do with non-random, but I didn't care. So I have these 4 kids are in group 1. These 4 kids are in group 2. Now, what you didn't see is that when it asked me, when I hit the Make Groups button, it said, well, what document do you want them to be grouped around? And I chose the Instagram template that I'd used before on a presentation on Monday. And you can't very well see this, but I'm going to tell you that these first 4 people, their numbers written in this big old long line of a link are exactly the same. And group 2's numbers of this big old long link are exactly the same. Now, as the teacher, all I would do, and I'll show you on my class over here, my classwork, I went to Group Doc. All I had to do was create this, and I'll click over here to edit this post so you can see it. I added it as students can view the file, because that's all the students really need to do is view it so they can click their link to take them to their group assignment. And in this case, if I click the link to group number 1 right here, the cool part for me is that everybody's on the same presentation in this group, and it attaches the title and Laura Sandoval, Amber Davies, Sean Sleater, and Angie Thomas. It puts all of their names on it, so I know who's in this group. And that's really, really cool. So now I've only had to assign them that one sheet to populate theirs. And I can see down here, somebody's added. There's Angie putting her stuff in. So somebody's adding things here. So all you need to know is that it does all that stuff for you. So now I can grade each individual kid, but I'm opening the same document for these 4 kids to give them their points. That's really cool. That's one of the things I love here. So on auto documents, you're going to select how many kids in each group, going to put in their name and their information with their email address, go to Group Maker. You can do this for docs, slides, sheets, or drawings. They can work collaboratively on any one of those. And it can be a blank with just the assignment title so that they all have to work together and create it, but you could give them a template if you wanted to. And you'll see all the group members' names. These people have the same link. Each student clicks on the link next to their name to get in there and start editing, because this is what gives them the editing rights, is their individual link. Assign to classroom as students can view. And then all we have left for you, because we are over time by 3 minutes, I'm so sorry. Here's our resources for extensions. All of these link to the different extensions that were discussed, apps that were discussed. This one takes you to other apps that we didn't even mention that work with Google Classroom. Mobile app information for you, and app script information for you. If you wanted to see what others are available besides the 3 and how to get into more, here's connections for you on that. You guys, you've been a blast. Hillary, are there any questions before we go on?
Let me unmute myself. There we go. Yes, one of the ones is from Adam. You know, we've done all this with Google Classroom and assigning things to students. Can students be moved from one class to another?
Oh, can you be moved from one class to another?
Sorry.
I'm sorry. It depends upon whether or not it depends on how your district has it set up. Are they actually joining a class code themselves? Or is your district pushing them into your class? That's going to be dependent right there. But yes, technically they can, because all of that information that they have created for you is saved in that Google Classroom folder inside of Google Drive. They won't lose the information. You just will have to access it at a different spot, and we can still get all those grades, etc. What's our next question?
Okay.
And I will say this, guys. I know some of you may have to leave before I answer this question. We know we're over time. If you have to leave, that's fine. We are going to stay on and answer all of these questions. Please email Hillary or me with any questions and concerns you have. And we are going to make all 3 of these public. So if you have administrators that want to use them as back to school PD and have all 3 hours played for their teachers back in, when they come back to school in August, we have that available to you. And I will also say this, for teachers who have any questions like on anything we've mentioned, like today's apps or today's extensions, or I'd like to know more, tell us you'd like to know more, because we don't mind at some point throughout the next 6 months putting out more of these in 1 hour increments. So this question, what we got here?
Can you import a Google form you already have made and use the quiz feature?
Yes, but there are more steps to that. So Jennifer, I'll send some resources to you, or you can email me and ask me a specific, and I can actually remote into you and walk you through that process. You can use an already created Google form. You will have to go in and edit that form and make it a quiz first. And you would want to attach it. The import grade feature won't work as smoothly, but it is possible.
Okay, and then I answered this one in the stream, but what app extension would you recommend for having first graders record themselves reading and send to her in Google Classroom? Totally Flipgrid. That's probably one of my favorites and the easiest for littles to use. And then David asks, on group documents, can you tell who contributed what?
Yes. So if you haven't ever clicked on the version history, you can go here under File, Version History, see the version history, and it will show you. I can click to see, well, what did Angie do? And it jumps to her slide for me, and when it was different stages of what she did. And then if I go up here to see what Sean has been clicking on, I can click and it will show me where Sean was. He wrote this part. Do you see where his text box was? You can drill into it. He put a learning tool, and then click up here and he put so I can see the breakdown of what they've done through the version history, and it will color code which kid did what. Good question.
Okay, and then Melissa asked, what does it mean to release in Google Forms?
Oh, good question. So when you're inside the graded form, let's see here. I'll go back to my class really quickly. X out of this. I'm going to go to my best quiz ever. I'm going to actually open the form as the teacher. Okay, it's going to, obviously this is what my student sees, but I have a little pencil because I'm the person that created it. And I'm going to click the edit button. I can click responses. And I can see all of their scores. And I have the ability to release the score, which means they get an alert and tells them what they made on their test as soon as I release the scores to the students. That's a good question. What else?
Last one that's showing right now. Digital, what program are we using to do this presentation, and is it free?
So this is StreamYard. No, it is not free. I think we paid about $240 for a 1-year subscription. We have an account. That's why you see Region 14 Digital Streaming, so that we could all use it rather than my personal account or Hillary's or Sean's that works with us. There is a free version, but you don't have as many bells and whistles, and it does have a their logo on it and that type of thing. But yes, there is a free version. Play with it. You can see if you like it or not. Tie it to your account. But we paid the $240 for 1 year to stream it through YouTube. Anything else?
I don't see anything else.
Guys, it's Friday. We hope you had a lot of fun. Here's our contact information. Have a great weekend.
Thanks
Bye,
for
guys.
Thanks for joining us.